Sheila Armitage, Resilience Workout, Building Your Resilience Leadership Muscles. Welcome to my imaginary gym. Today, we're going to mix a little bit of inspiration with a little bit of perspiration, and we're going to burn 500 calories as I share with you some of my research on how to invest your time and energy to build your resilient strength. So, how would a stronger resilience in your life help you in your nonprofit leadership today? Take a moment to think about that. If I were more resilient, I would be able to fill in the blank. Might you be able to get new perspective on a problem? Might you be able to repair an important relationship, for example? Hold that in your mind's eye. What we're going to do today is take you from this left-hand depletion, overwhelm scenario, share with you a research and evidence-based set of behaviors that thrivers lean into in order to have them thrive and become an Olympian resilience leader in their days. So the single most important message from this session today is everyone, absolutely everyone, has the inner resources and the capacity and the skill set to increase their resilience and handle any challenges life throws at us. So I'm getting into the mind of different levels of nonprofit leaders. Maybe you're a leader who has been running your nonprofit for many years. What are you depleting your energy on with that role right now? Is it finding the staff and being able to pay them a livable salary? If you're a newer leader to your nonprofit, are you perhaps getting to know your board and how to get the most out of them? If you're an aspiring nonprofit leader, are you juggling how to keep paying the bills with your current job and figuring out where to carve out time to build your new niche and your new organization? Or are you juggling life at work, at home, and in the community and are feeling a little bit overextended? Are you looking after your parents as well as your children? These are all things that if we apply the principles, the toolbox, the ideas from today, you should be able to attend to a little bit more. I promise. So in my gym with you today, here's the flow. We're in the warm-up right now. I'm going to share with you a definition. Then I'm going to give you an overview of the resilience muscles to use and a deeper dive into those muscles. You can try out warming those muscles up a bit. Then you're going to choose one thing to help you thrive. And I'll share at the end some resources. So that's how we're going to spend our 20 minutes together today. Let me get to the next slide here. Definitions. What is Windhorse resilience? In a nutshell, it's raising your power and energy to meet the challenge of living. Goodness knows we have a lot going on in world politics, in the economy, in the environment, in many areas of life. And so this is a model that's based on what Thrivers did when I did my PhD research for my dissertation a few years ago. And I studied two companies and I asked two questions. What do Thrivers believe and do? And what do Thrivers do when stress rises at work or at home? Interestingly, Windhorse are the prayer flags in Tibetan Buddhism that carry up your prayers to the heavens. And in Eastern European spiritual traditions, there's this whole wonderful symbolism behind Windhorse vitality. And it's about flying through the air, strength, transforming obstacles, and harnessing that force within yourself to rise above the challenges. And what's good for individuals is good for organizations, is good for communities, and is good for society. So as nonprofit leaders, this is a really important skill set for us all, and it's a great skill set to share with children. So as a broad introduction to the 6 areas of discipline that Thrivers invested their time and energy in over the long haul, there's physical well-being, mental well-being, spiritual well-being, a community of support, enjoyment and pleasure, and priority management. So out of my research, these are the patterns that emerged. Now, interestingly, as I lay these areas onto a stress curve, what I saw was that with low and normal stress, thrivers actually every week invested in these 6 areas that I just introduced to you. As stress started to increase in the yellow zone, reaching that fatigue line in the middle, what they leaned into more was priority management and setting boundaries, leaning on their family and community for support, taking time to relax and recoup, and really managing their time. As they entered into the exhaustion level of that curve in the orange zone, priority and time management was what they really spent more time focusing on. They really used those muscles. What they also did was add in emotional intelligence, where they became very tuned into their emotions and what their emotions were telling them. And they tied into their social network at home and at work and really applied all of this emotional awareness to solving the problem at hand. As they went into that red zone of anxiety and burnout, they really focused, the thrivers really focused on and used a few skills even more, the whole mental discipline skill set, faith and quiet time. So I'll share more about this. We're going to go into each area one by one. As I go through this, think about how would you rate yourself? How would you rate yourself on how much time you invest in each thriving area? Is it low, medium, or high? What we're doing here is a quick self-assessment, a snapshot of where you are today to raise your awareness. And the intention is not at all to put a guilt trip or a shame trip on yourself, okay? Promise me you won't guilt trip yourself. Because at the end of the session today, perhaps you'll have an idea on one thing you can do more of to boost your resilience and enjoy la buena vida. Okay, so as I go through each of the 6 areas of resilience muscles, I'm going to review what it drives, what using these muscle sets actually drives in your life, what the benefits are. I'm going to share with you the top behaviors that emerged from the research, and I'm going to share some really fantastic stories of thrivers that I spoke to during the research. And in the 5 years since my PhD, I continue my research. So area 1 is physical well-being. That drives health, fitness, and energy to keep going every day, to sustainably perform at work, life, and in the community. I'm going to share with you a story of my friend Mary, who really spends a lot of time investing in her well-being. She's also a CEO of a demanding healthcare organization and contributes greatly in the Austin, Texas area where we both live. Mary loves to run marathons. She spends a lot of her week investing in all of these areas. She eats healthy, she exercises, she mixes up her exercise into strength training, running practice, and yoga. She sleeps and she rests, especially before a run. And before she does a run, she also has a special salmon meal that she feeds herself. And then afterwards, she allows herself a little treat. She makes healthy choices. For example, when she has shin splints, she stops running. And she keeps her home clean and organized, as do many of the thrivers in the physical well-being area here. You might think that's a little bit odd, but what it revealed to me as I talked to people was that it helped organize people's minds. A clear space translated to a clear agenda and a clear focus on what was needed to be done. So I share that with you. The second area here, well, actually, let me go back to this. There is one thing, one of these muscle areas that you might like to do, like Mary with her marathon running, that actually gives you a return in all 6 of the model's areas. So Mary, she does her physical well-being, running, and discipline, but it also gives her a return and a hit, let's say, on her, it's her social time, her community of support. She thinks through her problems and gets ideas, her best ideas when she's running. So the mental game here. She also finds it's a spiritual regeneration for her. So that's an example where you can choose one thing that gives you several returns in the resilience model. Now, why might that be helpful? Because it's really efficient with time. If you can find that one thing that gives you several returns, you can go, I can feel good about that, and it didn't take me a lot of time. So we'll come back to this. Mental well-being. This drives greater capacity to cope when stress rises. So here there was an overall mindset of positivity, letting things go when they needed to, not constantly overthinking about something with a mouse mind and a monkey mind, being able to intentionally live in alignment with values. And when that wasn't possible, to question the culture of the workplace you're in and find a place where you can live according to your values. In this skill set, there's this whole mindset of growth and learning, no matter how hard the gut punch might be on a particular day. Also staying open and flexible and keeping your attitude positive. Even on days when people felt their worst, one thing they said, thrivers would reach out and help somebody else, and it helped them rise above their own problems and do something good, which in turn boosted their resilience. So brilliant. They showed their kindness every day. They de-stressed intentionally. One guy talked about how he would, as he drove home, think about his day and let that go. And when he got home, he put on a new outfit to mark that it's the end of thinking about my stressful day. Now I'm with my family. People who really lent into mental well-being, took time to really appreciate their culture at the company where they worked, and also to invest in that. I'm going to share with you a brief story about my friend Lily Rowden, who used her mental thinking ability to help her navigate several major life challenges in her great 86 years of life. When she was in her 30s as a young mother to 2 children, and this would have been in the 1960s, her husband started to subtly threaten her life. And Lily had to think about, is this real? How do I cope with this? How do I keep my children and myself safe? How do I go out and get a job when I've always been a housewife? Not only that, as life kept going on for her in her 70s, she had a heart attack and she had to go into bankruptcy to pay for her medical bills. She kept learning and learning and leaning into that. This mental well-being and learning was Lily's total gym amplifier. In her 70s, she got a master's degree, then a PhD. She learned how to paint. She became a professor of a global university, and she wrote several books. Brilliant example of how to lean into mental well-being. Spiritual well-being. These are the roots of your deep oak tree. It provides a depth of inner resources and motivation to fuel endurance and stamina when things get really tough. So the skill set showed up here in a number of ways. People shared their stories of how they would do their church study groups, read their Bible quietly every day to set their day off on a good pathway. Some people talked about just taking a walk in nature and being sure to leave the office at lunchtime to feel a tree and see a tree because they've been in front of their computer screen. Some people prayed throughout the day. Some people took time to reflect and journal on their day. Some people made it a point to be really present in each moment. Others meditated. Others did yoga to help quiet their mind. Others were spending time in nature, making sure that they had me time to recoup. So the bigger picture here was spiritual well-being helped them cope with life on a daily basis and help them tap inner resources. One story I have, and I'll share it very briefly, is an American woman who went to live in Chile with her scientist husband on a job assignment, started to get death threats from her husband. And she lent into her spiritual well-being in this country where women had no rights and were not allowed to earn money. Her husband kidnapped her son twice. And this seemingly average woman lent into this new church community, learned the language. She even knitted blankets for newborns. And she figured out by just being in her faith how to escape this abuse, and still to this day teaches people how to live in that abuse, how to avoid staying trapped in abuse. A community of support allows for objective input and emotional support. People shared their stories of how, for example, as new parents, they would go talk to their family, their partner, their managers to ask for help. One young new mother said she asked her manager for support because she was at capacity. She was a high performer. She could no longer do the hours she wanted to. And the long hours she was used to doing. So her manager helped her and called on other resources. This same young woman asked for help from her husband to babysit their new baby several times a week in order for her to go and run. And that was her total gym amplifier. Running was her community of support, her physical well-being, her mental well-being. It was very efficient and re-energizing for her. Enjoyment and pleasure. Taking vacations, spending time on hobbies, learning new things, enjoying life, smelling your horse, taking your dog for a walk, actually planning things with people who are important to you, who regenerate you, so that you can enjoy life as a whole was really important. There were several people I talked to who not only just dreamt about it, they put it in their calendars to have lunch with a loved one, to get on the phone with a mum. So this is really important. And a really unexpected takeaway from my research was this. Resilience is not about managing stress and managing your nervous system and work-life balance. It's that, and it's about living your life in a way that helps you enjoy the things that are important to you and being able to have the impact you want in your life. So this is a key message. Final thing, priority management. No surprises here. This drives where you invest your time in your life and how you really focus on what's most important to get done. So one of the big things here was setting boundaries, saying no, negotiating with loved ones, negotiating with managers, not adding too much to your daily schedule, not overextending yourself. One IT manager said that he learned to disconnect from his technology so that he could set expectations with his team and have team coverage for all that work without burning himself out. Financial discipline was an unexpected habit here. Well, how does that help with resilience? Here's how it helped. People who told me about this said, it gives me more freedom to spend my time as I need to with the things that are important to me, with my grandchildren, with my wife, with my partner. I don't have to I don't have to work multiple jobs. I don't have to get in debt. I live a simple life. That gave them more flexibility. And there was a big theme in priority management of allowing yourself flexibility. And if you needed to change a plan and let go of a plan, create a new plan to work in the reality. So this is where we pick one thing to make you more resilient. Where is one area that you think of as you think, where am I strong in these areas? Where am I not so strong? In physical, mental, spiritual, community of support, enjoyment and pleasure, and priority management. Where would I like to spend more time? Take a moment to think about that. Okay, here's the magic. It's really simple. I'm not going to ask you to add yet another thing to your already busy weeks. What I am going to ask is think of something where you're not using your time to boost your resilience. For me, that was cooking. I went on cooking strike when my daughter went to college, and I used that time by doing a time swap and working out, and I lost 20 pounds. I hear others say, you know what, if I'm really honest with myself, I'm spending too much time on Facebook or on social media or watching the news. So I'm going to carve 10 minutes out of one day of the week, and I'm going to spend that time picking up the phone and calling somebody who's really important to me. Take a moment to think about that. And again, is there a total gym amplifier move in there for you? That one thing that will give you several returns and help you accomplish several of these 6 muscle set strengthening areas in one go. Here are some further resources on this last slide, which I'm sharing with you. And I've also shared a thriving planning assessment and worksheet, which you can share with your team. These are great resources that are free. Feel free to share them with your team. Thank you for spending time with me. Bye for now.